To see this room so full of you people. I'm very excited. Those of you that have been here early know that we've been struggling a little bit with our slides. So I hope you'll have patience. I'm not sure what's going to happen. All that I know is that I haven't had time to think about it, and maybe that's a good thing. I'm just hoping my brain settles down and I do my very best performance for you today. My name's Kathy Goldsmith. I'm the co-chair of the ad hoc Wildfire Mitigation Committee. Does everybody know about us? Yeah. You've been reading my articles in the Breeze? Of course. At any rate, what we are charged with is presenting to our HOA and you residents the latest and greatest information about wildfires, about the fire regulations that are coming, and about insurance. So we're two-pronged, insurance and wildfire. And I'd like to introduce our committee. Their names are up there, but let me call them and give a wave. I don't know whether our co-chair, or whether our chairperson is actually in here. I don't think so. But it's Dr. Annie Powell. Uniquely qualified. I feel somewhat responsible because I recruited her. She's my BFF. But she is both forestry and FEMA. Was alerting me to our earthquake swarms, too, by the way, last night. So I am the co-chair. Annie's in the back there. She's the chair. And we have Doug Dupree. He's over at our literature table. John Goolsby, he's right over here. He'll be handing you a mic when you have questions to ask, so look for that. Patty Pitts is over at the table that greeted you coming in. And one of our members is not here, Bob Ferrier, and he's our insurance specialist, and he's really sorry that he's missing this meeting. We have guests here today, too, from Senator Bow's office. We have Nick Calero and Juliana Pinson. They have both helped so much in getting this organized. And from the Insurance Commission, we also have Judith Pena. She's here at their table. And also not here yet, but on her way, is Julia Juarez, the director of their outreach program. You'll be hearing from both the senator's office and from the outreach program a little bit later. I laughed when I saw all of this, because I'm making the slides and I'm doing the badges, but we have a Judith, a Julia, and a Juliana. So our three guest ladies are J's. Watch it when you're asking the questions, who it goes to. At this time, I'd like to call our president of the board of directors forward, Jerry Monahan, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, and if you'd please stand for that. No. You got me.
Okay.
Here's your bike.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, John. So this is why we're here today, and this is why we have such a big attendance, I'm sure. We all know that these insurance rates are just ridiculous. We can't figure them out, and they seem somewhat arbitrary. And when I first watched this webinar, myself and several other members of the committee, we were so impressed with the amount of information and how it helped us to understand what the problem was and what we could do to move forward. So what they asked me to do is to recap this in 10 or 15 minutes, a 2-hour webinar. And I pondered a whole lot about how to do this. My job on the wildfire committee is communication. So they were looking to me to do this, and I can only say, hang in there with me. I'm not going to explain it all to you. I'm going to give you enough information so that you'll want to go and listen to this. On a Friday afternoon, I thought I would fall asleep with a 2-hour webinar, but I didn't. It was just fascinating. And what I would like to do most and foremost is to thank our senator for having the forethought to see that this was an important issue for her constituents, and she put together an incredible webinar that we could never have hoped to get a panel the way that she could. So thanks again, thanks again. Now, if you just give me a second till I get to my notes, I'll remember what I wanted to say. I read on Facebook one day from actually one of our residents, and he posted and he said that the HOA, he thought, was doing much too much about this insurance problem, that they were making a big deal of it, and it really wasn't that big a deal. This morning, one of our members, John, sent me an email about a survey that was just conducted by UCLA, the Luskin study, and it showed, among other things, that 1 in 5 Californians have dropped their homeowners insurance in order to stay in the home that's in the neighborhood they want to be in. That's a heavy statistic. The person that wrote that, obviously he's lucky. He didn't have to face this situation. And that also, the number one climate-driven concern is wildfires. And I think that's another thing that it's interesting that our board and our HOA people had the forethought to put this committee together to address those two issues, insurance and wildfires. We've been at it for a year, and this is the first time that we've been out with the public audience. And I hope I can have you come back to our second one in February. So let's begin. The first presentation was the Department of Insurance. They also are here today. So I'm going a little short on theirs because they'll have a little extra presentation later on. But they didn't have this in their presentation, and I thought it was important for us to all know what it is that they actually do. It's quite a far-reaching department. As I said, if you have questions, they'll be here a little bit later to answer them, and they will have a literature table too. I thought that, not to criticize a big department like that, but this is not a good side. In the business, we would call this burying the lead, because the statistics that you see in dark there are the important statistics that you need to look at. And it shows you how far out of balance California is with the rest of the country. So the question is, how did we get into this situation? And what were they doing about it? So when they saw these statistics, they traveled the entire state, and they did studies and surveys, and what they came up with at the bottom line was the risk factor. The risk factor was the most important thing that was guiding the rise in insurance rates. I don't need it. As you can see, I'm kind of free and easy here. I like to keep it light. So if I joke from time to time, just forgive me, I can't help myself. The very first solution was something that we've talked about in our articles. Protecting your home and business. Their second solution, protecting the whole community. And if you've heard anything from us about a fire-wise community, that's what we're talking about here. We will be presenting this. It's already in our February article. We'll be presenting a town hall on this next month. It's a little cumbersome here, but it's okay. Kathy will endure. Maybe. Okay, who else has arthritis in their hands? Again, just to let you know, this insurance department has a really good outreach program, and you can call them and you can challenge your insurance, and they will help you. The next presentation in the webinar was, I think, one of the most important ones. It's what I learned the most from in understanding this issue. And that's the big thing I think we're all trying to do, is understand how we got here and why this is happening to us. This is actually the trade organization that insurance companies join. So I'm going to try to give you an understanding of a sustainable insurance strategy, because that's what they're asking for. What does that mean? To me, as a business person, it says these are standard business practices. This is how you run a business. And if you don't run it this way, you're not going to be in business too long. But look at the two bottom issues. Removable existential threats and hazard protection. Again, going back to the same thing that the Department of Insurance said, protecting your home, protecting your neighborhood. Okay, how many here actually watched the webinar? Okay, that's a good amount. That's a good amount. And I'm doing this for those people who did not, just to give you a taste of what was in there, because it is so full of information. But how many can tell me where they think California stands in the most expensive insurance in the nation? Where do you think we stand? Just shout it out. Okay, those are the ones that didn't watch it. See that red number? We're 24th. 24th. Who's number one? Florida. Now, how did we manage to be 24th? That makes no sense. We know that we've got a lot of problems with earthquakes and fires in California. But it happened, and we are now up to 20th, but rising, but not by much. I'll tell you that those of us who have lived here a long time, if you can remember back in 1988, there was a Proposition 103. I know you all have memorized it from back then, right? You remember what it was for? It was to control insurance rates. And what the major publicity was discrimination because you were being charged by your zip code. And that's, those of you remember, that's why we voted for it. Because if you lived in a bad neighborhood, you were paying 3 times what other people, and it just wasn't fair, because after all, it's a socialized system to begin with insurance policy. So we voted for it. But one of the unfortunate circumstances was that it also regulated how insurance companies can raise their rates. And this is what the insurance companies are complaining about, that it can sometimes take them 2 years to raise a rate. And in doing that, by the time they get the approval, the rest of the company is 2 years ahead of them. So they're always falling behind and never catching up with the rest of the country. And that's why you see such disparity in those percentages that I showed you. Now, their next slide surprised me. I was surprised that the Insurance Trade Organization was talking about the FAIR Plan. And I'm going to explain it a whole lot more in the next segment. But what this is showing you is how much it has grown in the last few years. So what my question is today, what progress have they made? The Department of Insurance and the insurance departments are attempting to come to a compromise. And these are the points that they're looking at. Maybe we can ask today of the Department of Insurance how far that has come along. The insurance companies are very hopeful about that. and so am I. And I guess we all should be. We need to come into some sort of balance that has a sustainable program so that we don't face these incredible increases in a very quick time. Next was a presentation by the California FAIR Plan. And I wanted to tell you what this stands for. It stands for Fair Access to Insurance Requirements. That's what FAIR is. It was originally started to be a temporary insurance plan for people who couldn't get regular insurance until they could find a company that would insure them. We know that that has changed. So how many people feel this is state-funded? Anybody feel it's state-funded? Anybody feel this is a backup to your money that if it goes too far, the state will cover it? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not state-funded. You pay into the FAIR Plan. If that FAIR Plan exceeds, if a catastrophe exceeds the money that's in there from your contributions, it falls to the insurance companies. And the insurance companies, in order to sell here, must belong to the FAIR Plan. And let's say that there's a catastrophe and everybody in the FAIR Plan, the money's all used up and there's another $1 billion that needs to be paid. Well, where does it come from? They go back to the insurance companies and say, you own 20% of this market. So therefore, of that $1 billion, you write a check for $200 million. How many business people here have a contingency fund of $200 million or anything like that in percentage to what your business operating budget is? That is not a sustainable program. What we're seeing is in the beginning of the FAIR Plan, there weren't that many policies. But now there are so many policies that the opportunity for it to far exceed the money that's paid into it is very, very great. It's no way that it can be sustained in the structure that it's in right now. And part of the plan is to get people off of that plan. That's what the insurance department would like to do. They want people off of the FAIR Plan, not more people on it. And we have to make California a sustainable market. Again, what they're coming to, and this is what the ad hoc committee has emphasized, protection of your home and protection of your neighborhood. We will be getting, as I said, a whole lot more information on this. The laws that are being passed are not finalized yet. And there's a whole lot of lawsuits from different places coming against things. They're changing practically daily. There's another one that came out. Well, maybe I'll let someone talk about that later. Okay, but for myself, I'm not waiting for someone to come along and tell me how to protect my home. I'm in a very high fire zone up on Prospect Park. I have recently taken out plants that are up against my house. One of them was very lovely up against my bathroom window so that I didn't have to close my blinds. And it was beautiful, but it was a really big fire hazard. And I removed it. I removed plants from too close to my garage, another one that was under a window. They're not telling me to do that, but in learning, and I have studied so much about not only insurance, but about wildfires, that it says that that's a bad thing. A fireman's not going to come try to get into your house through a window if there's a burning plant under it, just as common sense. The other thing that I haven't mentioned yet, but I want to, is the construction of our homes and the design of our community. We are designed with a fire mitigation system that surrounds our property. And does everybody know about that? If we have a fire close to us and your water goes, it's because we have the mitigation system on. It goes 24 hours in rotation surrounding our entire property. That's 100 feet, Eric? 100 yards. At least 100 feet. Surrounds our entire property. Our homes are built with stucco. We have very, very little wood. We have a metal garage door. We have a concrete roof. So all of those things are things that your insurance company needs to know, that you already have a good construction. 70% of the homes in Riverside County do not have that. We are very, very fortunate that we were built to a standard because we're in a wild land. So another presentation is from a group you probably have never heard of. I've never heard of it. But they are representing consumers. So if there's something that you want to take a note of, it's probably from this group. Because when you have a problem, this is the group you want to go to. Here's some increases that have been seen in areas close to us. And some of us were not renewed at all. And you do have rates when that happens. And this is one of the laws that's coming out, I think it's 1159. Oh, hi. That's another one represented from the Department of Insurance. Welcome. 1159, and it is giving you a lot of our policies are based on a flyover of your house, whether it's from a satellite or it's from a drone. But this particular bill will say that you have to be presented with a picture of what caused them to cancel your insurance. You have to have the ability to be told exactly why they are canceling you because of that picture, and then you have the right of appeal. And this is a group that also will help you with any other reason that your insurance has been canceled. So yeah, know your rights and know your risk. And they were also giving tips to save money. And then those of you that have gone into the FAIR Plan know that you also need another insurance. So it's FAIR Plan plus your regular liability and content insurance. And in order to get your, now, I'm not going to go to the next slide because it's out of order. I don't know who did these slides. But what I would like to go, that is the end of my presentation. Did I make it in 15 minutes? Nobody was checking? You all trusted me that much? Aha. Okay. Well, now I would like to introduce to you from Senator Bogh's office, Nick Calero. It'd be a good idea to turn on your mic. Maybe I should turn mine off?
All right, can everyone hear me? This microphone works great. I need this at home for my kids so they hear me throughout the house. Okay, again, my name is Nick Calero. I'm Senator Ochoa Bogh's district director. I've been with her for, 5 years now. I was one of her first staff people she brought on board. As a district director, I like to consider myself, so a district director manages the district office. And I have my feet in both the legislative world and also here down in the community constituent services type world. And so it's a lot to cover. And so I like to consider myself, jack of all trades, master of none. And so I know a little bit about a lot of things. But one thing that I am very good at is finding where those answers are and reaching out to our partners like Department of Insurance or any other state agency or any other government agency and finding out how we can get answers or being a bridge builder and creating pathways. And so I am appreciative of the Department of Insurance being here today because it takes a lot of pressure off me for having to find all these answers because we do have content experts here. But one of the things that we do in the district office is if there are folks in the senator's district having issues with any subject, whether it's insurance, DMV, Department of Social Services, Department of Consumer Affairs, we are able to gather that information and connect those folks with liaisons or departments, creating pathways so that they could get the information that they need. And so I want to kind of give a quick overview of what our district office does. And then I wanted to give an overview really quick of what the senator has done as far as insurance. And so in October of 2025, which Kathy just gave a recap of the virtual insurance town hall, that was our second insurance town hall. We had our first insurance town hall in November of 2024. which was same format. It's on our website if you want to take a look and check that out as well. If you go to the Senator's website, you should be able to navigate and find both links and view both. But the first insurance town hall was to give a understanding of here's the crisis. This is what is being done to address that. And then the second insurance town hall was kind of a recap to say, a year later, here is where we are now, and this is what the Department of Insurance and this is what the legislature is doing to address these issues. And so briefly, I want to go over a couple just points on insurance. In January of 2025, we had the wildfires in LA, and that was at the beginning of the legislative session, and that really sparked an interest in the legislature. And I think there's a number of legislators already interested in introducing and passing legislation to address this. But in 2025, there was a bill package put forward. The insurance commissioner was instrumental in that, and there was a lot of other legislators who put a bill package forward to address some of the issues that we're seeing right now with insurance. And there were roughly a dozen, I think, or possibly more. But some of those bills had to do with a few things. And so I just wanted to run down some of those efforts. And so there was SB 429 by Senator Cortese, which was the California Wildfire Public Catastrophe Model Act. This allowed the Department of Insurance to issue grants to establish the nation's first publicly available resource for wildfire loss data, giving tools to better look at the issue, calculate what data is everything, right? So calculate the information and see what direction we need to go. That was chaptered, and it was supported by Senator Ochoa Bogh. I'm just going to go down a couple of these. And there was also SB 547, which was the Business Insurance Protection Act. This bill expanded current residential property insurance moratorium law to commercial property insurance protecting businesses, HOAs, condos, affordable housing units, and other small businesses and nonprofits from being non-renewed or canceled. There was also, and that was chaptered and supported by Senator Ochoa Bogh. There's also SB 616, which was by Senator Rubio and Cortese and Stern, and that is a community fire hardening commission which established an independent statewide commission chaired by the insurance commissioner that will make recommendations to increase the speed and scale of community and home hardening throughout our state, as well as to create a stronger statewide inspection system. Unfortunately, that bill was vetoed, but it was supported by Senator Ochoa Bogh. The next we have AB 1, which is an assembly bill, which was done by Assemblymember Connolly. Residential property insurance wildfire risk requires by January 1, 2030, and every 5 years thereafter, the Department of Insurance to consider whether to update the Safer from Wildfires regulation to include additional building hardening measures for property level mitigation and community-wide wildfire mitigation programs. That bill was chaptered and supported by Senator Ochoa Bogh. The next bill, actually the last bill I'm going to talk about, was another Assembly bill, Assembly Bill 226. This was by Calderon and Alvarez. That was the Fair Plan Sustainability Act. Provides additional financial stability to the Fair Plan by allowing it to access catastrophe bonds and a line of credit if certain terms are met and the Department of Insurance grants them the authority to do so, therefore creating a little bit more sustainability sustainability for the Fair Plan. So I'm going to just check my notes, make sure that was the last bill. Oh, one last bill, California Safe Homes Act. Protects homes and accesses insurance by establishing a new grant program to support qualifying residents in obtaining new or replacement fire-safe roofs and creating fire-safe mitigation, like what you talked about, removing plants and potential burn items within 5 feet of structures and to be included in community-wide community-wide safety program. So a lot of the bills that were introduced were to address community efforts in order to make insurance a little bit more affordable and practical, and also creating additional resources for insurance companies to look at the plausibility of insuring homes in California. And so what I could do is take the bill package, give all that information to Kathy, and we'd be happy to work with you on getting legislative updates of what's happening in Sacramento, and then we could communicate with your committee on a regular basis. And if there's ever any analysis of bills or legislation or policy, we'd be happy to work with you and providing that, and even some of your meetings if you need. We could come in and present as well on some of those analysis. So we'd be happy to do that. But the Senate, so this is something that the Senator plans to continue to engage with. And I think what we'll hear later on from the Department of Insurance is this is not an easy solution, and there is no silver bullet to fix this issue. But the legislature, the Department of Insurance, and also the private insurance companies I know are all intent on finding solutions so that insurance is more viable as far as getting back to levels of affordability of what insurance used to be. I'm not sure how soon that'll happen, and I think there are reasons for why that's not possible. Our current insurance commissioner was saddled with Proposition 103, which was passed in 1998, which is, pardon me? It's been a minute, but it's one of the reasons why we are one of the reasons why we are where we are today. And so there's decades and decades and decades of California being constrained within Prop 103, which was narrowly ratified by 51% of the voters. And that's one of the things that you'll find is in governance, it's often well-intended, but there are unintended consequences that are unforeseen or maybe seen, but things are being pushed through too quickly. But all sections of government are working to address this issue. And I appreciate Kathy, and I appreciate the committee, and I appreciate all of you being here today. So as an office, what can we do to help? We could be a source to get information, disseminate information, not only at an organizational level, but on an individual level, and also be able to connect with Department of Insurance and other agencies to provide some sort of relief or at least communication with the government. And so I have business cards up front. Juliana has business cards up front, and I'm happy to give that out. And please reach out to us if you have any questions. We'd be happy to inform you of what your government is doing on trying to address this issue, and we'll give candid responses, whether this is working or not working. There were some bills that were proposed that the senator didn't support because she didn't know if it was necessarily the right fit for addressing these issues. But we can be a source of information for you folks, and so please reach out to us, and we'll be here after the end of this program and can answer any questions or try to field any questions that are necessary.
Thank you so much, Nixon. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And now Juliana, who was stuck in traffic, but she got here. Juliana Warren, she is the Director of Community Outreach for the Department of Insurance. And thank you for being here.
I do have slides. And so, hello everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. It was raining in downtown LA, and you know that we are made of sugar. So it takes a little bit for us to get through. I don't know what I'm...
I don't think you have slides on.
My slides are not up?
They didn't get
Okay, I'm trying to get away from whoever it is that I need to get away from. So...
It's me.
Yeah, but I want to make sure, I wanted to just give you just an update on what we are working on with the department. You saw the information about the Safer from Wildfires. So last year, Well, first of all, when Commissioner Lara came on board, one of the very first things we did was look at what were the major issues that people were facing. And a lot of people were being dropped from their insurance. A lot of people were getting, the insurance companies were basically saying there's too much risk. And so we need to, protect ourselves because we're not going to be able to cover all of the losses if we continue to cover everybody at the level that we're covering. So that's why they were pretty much getting rid of a lot of policies. So what we did is come up with what can we, as a community, as an organization, as just consumers, what can we do to lower that risk so that insurance companies would have that, so would be able to cover us. So that's where we came up with the Safer from Wildfires framework. That is very specific things, like we listed them to say these things, if consumers do this, if you in your home do these things, insurance companies must take that into consideration when they're looking at your insurance policies, and they must then give you discounts for the work that you have done or allow you to stay on with that insurance. So you are able now to look at that and actually make those changes. What was that? It was very specific things that you can do for your specific home, but then over your surroundings, as we were talking about earlier, very much so getting rid of Zone Zero. Has anybody heard of Zone Zero? No? Some of you? Zone Zero is a law that passed in 2021, but you were supposed to be, is basically for all Californians to actually clean out 5 feet in front of your home, 5 feet or surrounding your home, so that when an ember comes and actually hits something that can be combustible, it doesn't hit your home. And what we have found, research has found that basically homes that have this Zone Zero area, they will be able to most likely be able to get over a fire. They won't have that issue. So I wanted to. So basically, it is your surrounding. It is that Zone Zero, that 5 feet in front of or around your home. But then the other part of that is your community. How do you make sure that your community is safe? Because it doesn't matter how much you clean out, your home is safe. If a neighbor down the street catches on fire, that fire can flow, and we know about the winds in California, and so that might come to you. So it is very much so about keeping your community safe. How can you do that? You can create a fire-wise community. Have you all heard of a fire-wise community? Some of you, yeah. So basically a fire-wise community, it can be made up of 8 homes and up to 2,500 homes. So this community could very much so be a fire-wise community, right? And so then what you do is, the good thing about being a fire-wise community is that you can then go to the state, and we have a lot of programs where you can apply for grants. And so you can apply for grants there, and those grants are for all of the different things. We have seen some people use them to get goats to come every month to the outer areas and chew all of that dead vegetation. And the wonderful thing about goats, it's not just them eating, but then the poop that they actually leave is actually a fire deterrent as well. So it works wonderfully. So it is all a wonderful, wonderful plan. So some people have done that. Other people, what they have used it for is they have purchased eave coverings for all of their homes there. Others have done chipper programs. So they would bring a chipper, and everybody once a month will clear out, all the excess stuff that they have in their homes and get rid of all of that. So those are things that you can do as a community. So if you are not a fire-wise community just yet, let's do this. So that is definitely a very big thing. So that's the way that you can get your home and your safer, and your insurance company looking at that. Now, your fire risk score. How many of you know your fire risk score? Several of you. Your wildfire risk score is basically something that you can ask your insurance company, what is my wildfire risk score? And they will tell you. And what you can do many times, what insurance companies were saying was, your fire risk score is way too high, and so we will drop you because of that. And when you ask them, well, why? And show me and tell me about this, they would say, no, that's proprietary information. So we couldn't really share that information with you. Commissioner Lara changed that, so now it's a regulation that they must share that with you. They must go over it with you, and then you, as a consumer, then can look at that and say, no, I can appeal that because my home is safer than that. It does not have these trees overhanging over my roof, or does not have these different things. So you're able to appeal it now. And if your insurance company does not follow up and help with that, then you can call the Department of Insurance, and we will be able to come in and actually help and make phone calls on your behalf, work with the insurance company to try to figure out a happy medium there. So I'm going to make absolutely sure that our phone number is there, because we have our experts that are available during business hours. You can talk to anyone, and they can actually help you to go through your policies and help you figure that out. So that was the Safer from Wildfires. Now, along with all of that, we needed to do something to actually make the insurance companies stay. And so one of the biggest things was the sustainable insurance strategy, and that was very much so specifically to allow insurance companies. We came back to the insurance companies and said, okay, some people are doing this, it's not moving fast enough. What can we do to help still, make it so that you can do business in the state? So one of the big things was California, because of Prop 103 and other issues, we have always looked at our risk looking backwards. So we only looked at 10 years behind. Like, well, our risk in the future is going to be just the last 10, it's going to be about the last 10 years that we had before. Well, that doesn't work anymore for California. Since 2018, with Paradise, we have seen more than 150 fires here in California. So that it doesn't work anymore. So what they asked for was catastrophe modeling, which is basically looking at using technology to figure out what works and how do we look at what actual people, what is their actual risk. And so from there, we allow them to use catastrophe modeling, but the caveat that Commissioner Lara came in with was, we will allow you to use that. However, you need to give the consumer something back. And so what you need to give the consumer back is that you will then make sure that if you use that, your future policies that you're going to be selling in the state, you have to do at least 85% of them in the areas where there is wildfire risk. And you have to allow them you have to work with them to then get them out of the FAIR plan. So depopulate the FAIR plan and bring that number down of people who are in the FAIR plan, which is our insurance of last resort. That is the absolute, you cannot find insurance anywhere. So those were the things that we worked on. That was the fastest piece of legislation, regulation that a commissioner has ever done, anybody has ever done in the state. So much so that within the year, we were able to figure out what the catastrophe models were. We also worked on ourselves, because the department itself would review when insurance companies will bring their rate changes and ask us to increase their rates. It would take us about 2 years. Why? Because most of the stuff that we received was actually in paper. And so we were reviewing numbers and everything in paper. So now that has been automated. We are now able to move things much quicker. We were able to also hire staff to make sure that we're moving on that. And now we're working with insurance companies a lot quicker. So we are moving everything along. So with that, we have gotten at least 6 insurance companies that have said that they will start writing policies as soon as they are approved with their new policies, new rates, and all of that. And so right now we have 3 that have already been approved, and we have 3 in the hopper, as they say, as they're coming together. But we are expecting that all insurance companies will then start moving in that direction, and we will start seeing a lot more people doing business in the state, and then bringing more competition in the state. And so that's going to move the needle there very, very quickly. So that's where we're at right now. That has already, we have already gotten everything in place, and so this just happened in January is when we just got the approvals for these new insurance companies. So you haven't seen the numbers go down just yet, but we are expecting that then that's going to start building competition. How can you make sure that you are part of that and that you are, you are able to get insurance and get more affordable insurance? Is very much so making yourself as well, desirable for the insurance companies. And how are you going to make yourself desirable for the insurance companies? Is by being safer. And so using the Safer from Wildfire information. So I'm pretty sure that we have some information here from Safer from Wildfires that you can take with you, and we will, work on that. Now, another question that we always get from people is, okay, so now we have the legislature has said that we have this funding available for grants. Where can I apply for that grant? And let's move with it, right? So that has just been approved by the governor, has just been sent through. So now we are preparing all of the, that program. And so I urge you to please go into our website and sign up for our consumer alerts, because as soon as those become available, then we'll be able to send that out, and you guys will be able to look at, how can communities start applying for those grants as well. So with that, I am happy to take your questions as well with everybody. So thank you.
I'm so glad you came. Thank you. The fun part, right? Questions and answers. Do we have a question? And wait for a microphone, please, because it's a big room and we want everyone to be able to hear your question. When you get the microphone, please put it as close to your mouth as you can do it. If you want everyone to hear.
Mic 2. We're working on it.
And let us know who you're addressing your question to.
Test. There we go. Okay.
Thank you for being here today. You have presented issues.
If I go like this, put the mic closer.
Can you hear me now?
Now you got it.
Okay. I appreciate you being here to give us this information today. However, you've relayed to us things that the community can do to protect ourselves. What about instances that affect us that we can't control, such as making sure that the water resources are available for fighting fires, that our forests are being maintained properly, that we have enough that we have enough fire people? As I understand, certain communities, like in Los Angeles, they don't have enough people on their fire department. And what's the other thing? Oh, electric company. That was the one that burned down my friend's neighborhood in the city of Paradise. So what is the state of California and the insurance department doing to make sure that those entities hold up to their bargain of what they're supposed to do to protect the people and make sure that they do maintenance? Maintenance is a big thing in utilities that often gets pushed back to the bottom of the list in budgets.
And who are you addressing that to? Who would you like to answer?
Any and all of you. Thank you.
For that, the Department of Insurance regulates the insurance companies, and so our jurisdiction is only the insurance companies. So unfortunately, all of the other agencies and all of that are very much so regulated by other entities, either with the state, the federal government, or local communities. So I would say, you can reach out to your elected officials, find out who are who's in charge of what, and they'll be able to tell you whom, and that's how you can then come in as a community and ask that from your elected officials, from your local offices, your water districts as well. So those are the folks that actually have that jurisdiction. We unfortunately do not have that jurisdiction at all in the state, but you can.
All right, okay, it's on. Who's the power company? Is it Edison? Edison, okay. Our office works pretty closely with Edison and on both extremes, right? We had the PSPSs here earlier in 2025, which was due to wind and everything else. And so I think you're seeing a reaction of being an abundance of caution. Anytime there are conditions, then the PSPSs occur, which is a complete shutdown of the grid. And while the shutdowns are easy because you push a button, but the someone help me out, energization, whatever, the restoring of power to the electric grid is a lot slower because you can't just push a button. They actually have to send crews out to all of the facilities to make sure that trees weren't blown over, there aren't lines down, et cetera, et cetera. And so you see Edison and other power companies leaning heavily into the PSPS model to protect that. And Edison is also doing a lot of effort on hardening of a lot of their infrastructure. We're seeing quite a bit being done in the mountain communities right now. And I know that they're looking to expand hardening throughout their entire service areas. So that is an expensive task. And I'm assuming it equates to some rate increases for that work to be done. But I know they are planning on extensive hardening for those particular areas. What I can do is see if we have if I could get a report on what's being done here in the pass area, and I could submit that to your committee.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, and then as far as forest mitigation, you bring up an excellent point. That's a controversial subject on how we should handle fire or forest maintenance, right? Because there are some folks who believe that we've gotten too good at putting out forest fires, and then when forest fires are put out too quickly, you have the natural process of brush and dead growth being able to continue in existence, and then it just creates more and more fuels, and then also controlled burns, but also going through and deforestation is the appropriate word. I don't know if it is. But there's a lot of pushback on CAL FIRE when they are looking to increase forest maintenance and removal of all the dead fuel in there. But that is something that CAL FIRE is trying to address, and we could reach out to CAL FIRE and get some specific.
Well, and if you'll hold that question and come to the February meeting, CAL FIRE will be here. So Patty, I think you have a lot of questions that were written down. I think we should go to one of those.
Yeah, my question is there communication between Department of Insurance and mortgage companies? So mortgage companies require us, if you have a mortgage, they require us to carry insurance. And you were saying that one out of five homeowners are now dropping, their homeowners insurance, but if you don't have that opportunity because you've got a mortgage, that says you have to have this insurance. Then, insurance companies are leaving the state. What does the consumer do? Is there any communication between Department of Insurance and mortgage, holders? And then lastly, what about here in this community when HOA or our committees that govern, I live in the condos, and it governs how much, foliage is in our yards and stuff. We don't have the ability in my particular area to cut down shrubs and things that are close to our house. How do you communicate that with them when they say, well, we don't get rid of anything that's not dead? So, those two questions.
Thank you so much. And the Department of Insurance, like I said previously, we do regulate insurance companies. And we really, we urge you to please keep your insurance. Even if your home is paid off, look for insurance that that's affordable, that you can actually use, because it is, when there is a fire, when there is any other type of loss, we have seen so many people, particularly in Altadena right now, where that have had homes for generations, and so because they have had the home for generations, it's paid off, so they only pay the taxes, and there is nothing. So what happened after the fire, they are literally left with nothing and have no, the state is not going to have enough money to get you out of that, bail you out of that. The nonprofits and all of that, all of the different people that are trying to help, we are seeing it is not enough if you don't have insurance. So it is very much so a safety net that you create for yourself that you should have. For the conversations with mortgage companies, they are mortgage companies are basically the banks and all of that. They are looking out for themselves, right? And it is their investment in you that you're going to pay that back, pay that money that they lend you to buy the home. So for them, it is also, look, you must have insurance. However, if you decide to just drop your insurance, they will find insurance for you. But guess what that insurance covers? Their mortgage. It doesn't cover you. It covers their investment. So they will get the money, you will not. You will not get any type of assistance that way. So it is so I just want to impress upon you to please keep your insurance, use your insurance. I apologize, what was the second question?
That was good.
What's that?
You're
HOA. HOAs. HOAs are, businesses. Zone 0 regulations is a state law. And so we must, basically, this is something that we must all do. It was set up so that in 2026, it's going to start getting the fire departments and the Department of Forestry. We're going to start going through homes and checking to see if this is actually doing. So they are going to be checking on that, and you can get a ticket for that, right? So, except right now there's still, because there are so many people that have been, arguing about this back and forth, it is just taking a while for them to get to that point. Don't wait to get to that point. Just take care of your homes, and be able to do that. So maybe I would suggest speak to your HOA, give them the information on Zone 0. We have information on that, and certainly on our website. Our website is insurance.ca.gov. So we'll be able to have that information available for you.
Just to build on that, to let you know that the Wildfire Committee has representatives on it from both Landscape and ARC, and Landscape has been assigned the task of examining all of our wildfire area, our very high fire zones. We have already done walkthroughs, and we have acquired budgets for the removal of plants that are up against our buildings and for removal of trees that we have so very many of that are in the very high fire area, and it's going into our budget as of this year. We'll bite it off a little bit at a time. We have a few years to get it done, but we're on top of that already. Your HOA is way far ahead of the game. Another question. Wait for your microphone. We have quite a few, so if I can ask you to keep your questions short. Patty?
You want me to go ahead and read the questions that have been turned in?
Can you just read them for us?
So the first question is from Donna Lewis, who said she recently had a home inspection ordered by the insurance company. The person said there was zero reason that they should be canceled. If they are canceled, do they have any way to fight that cancellation?
Yes. If you are canceled, and any of you, if you are canceled, review that. You should get at least 70-day notice if you are canceled to find another insurance. So you can certainly contact the department many times, and it's not always, but many times, we're able to contact the insurance company on your behalf, and they are able to rescind that. So certainly, please contact us, contact the department. But besides that, I also wanted to just, just tell you, we are creatures of habit, and we are very much so loyal to our companies, to our brands, and insurance companies are not loyal to you. I have seen so many people throughout the state that we go to and we talk to that have told us, we have been with my insurance company for 25 years and they just dropped me. I've been, our entire family has been with them for 40 years and they just dropped me. They do not care how long you've been with them. So I urge you, every year, check your insurance. We have an insurance finder tool in our website that you can put your information in there, your city, your zip code, your, all of that, what type of home you have, and then it'll give you a list of all of the insurance companies that are selling insurance in your area, the amount that they normally charge for what you need to cover, and then a phone number for each of those insurance companies that you can call and talk to. So I urge you to please, all the time, just keep checking, because they're not loyal to you. You need to look out for yourself. It is a business. And so you need to look for yourself as, it is the business of my home. I need to take care of that too. So I just urge you to do that.
Thank you. The next question is about also insurance. The 3 companies you just mentioned that were approved, are they going to be on your website?
Yeah.
And the new ones, will they also be on?
Yes. So they are, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I created a PowerPoint presentation that had all this information that you can look at. I'll send the PowerPoint presentation to you.
Yeah, we can put it on our website.
If you can put it on your website, then you can see it there. You'll see the 3 insurance companies and the others that are in the hopper. And so you'll be able to see from there as well.
Thank you. This person has 2 questions. One is, will my solar batteries increase or improve my fire-wise standing?
I think we have to hold that one for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on
And
to
then
the
the next one is, in 2019, I made sure my house is in a low fire risk location. Now it's rated high on the map. Why?
So just to tell you what does that mean. So the CAL FIRE actually did a review of everything in the state, of all the areas on wildfire risk. If your home is in an area that says high wildfire risk or high severity zone, and it wasn't before, please don't take that as, oh my gosh, that's gospel, right? That this is where I'm at and this is what's happening. What that means is that those are the areas where CAL FIRE is going to invest money in to make sure that that area is cleared or taken care of. So it does not necessarily mean that insurance companies are using those numbers. Insurance companies are a lot more sophisticated than that. So they actually know on a granular level what that looks like. So don't take that as the entire story. So check with, when you do check your insurance, check with them as well. See what that looks like.
Yeah, we have the CAL FIRE maps posted now at our 3 facilities that you've all, I hope, noticed. But not every insurance company uses those maps. They have their own things that they use.
Okay, I have another question from Howard, Shelton, and the Putnams, and there are 2 questions, but very much the same. As a resident, can we get a copy of the documentation of the fire mitigation system to share with our insurance company?
I'd have to give that to Eric.
Yeah, we can send out the map and the documentation that we have if they email either issues or myself directly.
I'm thinking probably the fuel mod and
I
what the landscape committee is doing for fire mitigation.
Yes, yeah, just
That
email
documentation is available?
Mhm.
Okay, so now there's that answer.
Yes, the documentation is available, and we can email that to you.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Kirk Fryermuth. Why doesn't the state mandate that the insurance companies have to follow the CAL FIRE maps rather than their own?
Because basically using the catastrophe modeling is giving them an opportunity to look at a house at a more granular level and actually give you the right rate. Because right now, what is happening and what has happened is that insurance companies would say, this entire zip code is not safe. And so we will drop everybody on the zip code. When you're in that zip code, but your entire area or your community, that whole area is safe, but then you're lumped into everybody else. And so that's why they are now using catastrophe modeling to make sure that they are actually able to look at very specifically your home, your local community, and are able to then create that. That was the information that we were able to.
Some of this information that was submitted to the state, like CAL FIRE, is erroneous. Mm-hmm. And when we're looking at it in a granular way, this should be readdressed because this
Can't hear him.
We
can't hear you.
Because the data is in error. And it goes back to the original construction of this community. So I could give you an example. The plotting of a property, a house on a property, is in error. The construction material is in error. And these are issues that have driven insurance rates up. So I agree with you about looking at it from a perspective of granular instead of the entire zip code or the community. And these things need to be addressed. But we don't have a solution to this because it doesn't exist how we're going to address that issue.
How a home is made, what materials are used in it, and all of that, those are things that you would then work with your insurance company on, that you would be able to share that with your insurance company, and then your insurance company will be able to take that into account. So, and that was also the reasoning behind the Safer from Wildfires framework, so that insurance companies must take all of those things into consideration as they're reviewing your policies.
Okay, the next question is from Jeffrey Wilson. This is more for the Four Seasons, Beaumont. At the proposed clearance rate of trees which constitute a fire hazard in Four Seasons, they may be cleared in 40 years, if ever. Currently, pine trees overhang homes next to trails. Drainage basins are clogged and overgrown. The Conservancy has tons of tangled dead wood. City of Beaumont is supposed to be working with KHUB. Any results? We need action now.
Eric, I think you need to take that one.
I would say come to the IERCD town hall that will be at the beginning of February to learn more about the basins and the conservancy area. As Kathy said earlier, Landscape and the Fire Mitigation Committee are currently looking at the pine trees in the very high fire zone, so there is action on that. That's why you saw some that were tagged with either purple or green and purple ribbons around them, because we walked with CAL FIRE and CAL FIRE Forestry and got direction from them on what steps that we needed to do to take care of the trees in that area. So there is action on both of those locations. And then as an aside, since I do have the mic for just 1 second, Kathy said that she took out some of her plants around her house. That was with ARC approval. So if you do want to take out plants around your home right now, please go through ARC. If you have a letter from your insurance company that details that, they are more than happy to work with you to take care of those plantings.
Yes, it was with ARC approval. And also, I do serve on Landscape Committee, too, so I'm on both of those.
Yes, as I do also. Thank you, Eric. The next question is from Lori Cross, and she wants to know why Mock Bluff is divided into two colors or two risk ratings. And this is probably a question for the next one also with the fire marshal. Okay, let me elaborate.
So I now know that the map is CAL FIRE and not the insurance agencies. Didn't know that before. But I used to work in the aerospace industry, and our company did verification and validation of all models from all companies with all things having to do with space. Who is or is anybody verifying these insurance companies' models, either for their input data, which at least as a homeowner I can do for my house, but all the other information, either the weather, whatever they use in those models, it would be nice to know that somebody is verifying and validating those models.
Yes, the department did hire someone who is in-house that is working with all of those. We only have 3 models that have been approved, and so those are the ones that insurance companies are able to use. So that's the.
Oh, thank you for explaining a lot of things, and I understand your department has nothing to do with the. Here's my question. So CAL FIRE has rezoned a lot of our areas. Can we know why they rezoned those areas? This community is 20 years old. As far as I know, I've only been here 3 years. There's not been any fire. Nothing has changed. So why all of a sudden are we now high risk when we were not? Who can answer that question for me?
I think when CAL FIRE is here.
Well, I can say from my research, those maps are based on where a fire is likely to come from. And then as you get further away from that very high-risk area, it gets less. The fact that we haven't had the fire is not taken into consideration. It's what the wildland looks like in that area.
Okay, Kathy, the question still remains. How did they change? What prompted the change all of a sudden? That's what I'd like to know.
I think you need to ask that of the CAL FIRE in the next.
Yeah, I think it is important to ask CAL FIRE because they will be able to dial in on that specifically. But our office had a briefing, and if I recall correctly, it's not looking at the individual data of what is in the neighborhoods, right? Like it was a low risk, and then also all of a sudden nothing changed. Now it's a high risk. I think it's on if a fire occurs, how devastating would that fire be? But I would have to go back on my notes, but I think that's what, there was some distinction on actually like existing vegetation or looking at if communities are hardened for fires, but I think it's looking more at risk of if a fire occurred, what would the danger be, I think.
Risk and even wind patterns were taken into consideration. I think Annie, I don't know if she's in here still, Annie could probably answer that even more, but that's a really good question for our next town hall.
Okay, the next question. Has there been any thought about making wildfire insurance optional, like earthquake?
No. And here's why. And this is important for everybody to understand, because that has been something that people have asked. in the past, and fire is fire. Fire will get rid of your entire home, fire. The issue is, if we do that, if we make it optional, or if we take it and make, people have asked, can you just make fire insurance something separate that people can get like earthquake insurance, right? So what happened after the Northridge earthquake was that everybody started really getting panicked. And so then the legislature and everybody came in and said, insurance companies, you must cover everybody, do this, just gave all the insurance companies all these things that they had to do. Well, insurance companies are a business. They are not a state agency. They are not utilities. So they all pretty much said, all right, then we're out. And they left. Every single one of them left, did not want to do business in the state. So what did we actually have to do? We had to create the Earthquake Authority. And now we have that. You know how many people actually have earthquake insurance? In this state that actually has the most earthquakes anywhere, we only have about 11% of the entire state on earthquake insurance. So that right there is not an option. It is, and so that is why, and also the state would not be able to bail out. And people say, let's, well then make it a state program so that the state pays for any wildfires or anything like that. The state doesn't have that kind of money. If you're looking at this kind of, these fires that just happened in Altadena and Palisades, they are extraordinarily devastating. And mind you, it is just because it was those, most of the fires that have happened, the 150 fires that we have had in this last 7 years, have been pretty much rural, pretty much, made, some homes, but not too many. Palisades and Altadena were devastating because they were right there in the middle of town. Everybody, it's about billions. We're not talking millions. We're talking billions of dollars, and they are still coming up short. So with that, it's not prudent for us in the state to take out wildfire insurance.
Thank you.
I have a question over here with Eric.
I just want to say, if you have not watched these videos, I thought I got better things to do than 2 hours. My rates haven't gone up. I was blown away at the wealth of information that went into these 2 hours. I learned so much about a roof costing $16,000 years ago. Now the same roof's $45,000. Why insurance went up. So many of these questions are being answered on the video about the earthquake versus fire. It's on there about Donna Lewis's question earlier. So please go home and watch those videos. I learned a wealth of information that's going to help me if I do get a cancellation or an increase.
If you're going to fight an issue, start with knowing what it's all about,
Right.
and where you can fight it. And we're running over our time. Patty, how many more questions do you have?
5 or 6. 5 or 6.
Okay, if I can ask that both the answers and the questions be a little succinct so we can get through. If you can pick the highlights there, Patty, and go for it.
Okay, so here's one. I'm on a fixed income and I don't have the money to spend for more and more insurance increases yearly. What options are there to help those that are not able to keep up?
Yeah. We have, in our website, we have tips for you to look for different insurance. And that's pretty much what we have available right now. The insurance I know that we have a program for auto insurance in the state, and that is the California Low Cost Auto Program. And that is actually in this county, that provides you with liability-only insurance for less than $250 for the entire year. So if you're on a fixed income, I suggest looking into that, because auto insurance companies are also increasing rates. But
okay. The other question might be for you also. If I go ahead and invest the $16,000 to meet the insurance's suggested mitigations, will they have to lower my rates or keep them the same? What's the guarantee?
Unfortunately, we do not have any guarantees on that. What we do have is that you are able to come back to the insurance company and appeal that, and with the Department of Insurance can help you make that appeal as well.
Okay, I think that's probably,
Okay, one last burning question right by you there. Mic to your mouth and make it quick.
I have actually two questions, okay? One question is what was presented to us earlier was 408,000 homeowners in California now are under Fair Plan. How many are not on Fair Plan?
Fair Plan is only 3% of the entire market.
Thank you.
California
The next
is the
question.
biggest market.
The next question I have is a severe score. When do we have to be Zone 0 hardened?
When do you have to have Zone 0 hardening?
Yes.
So the legislation was that it was by the end of 2026. However, right now, they have not started doing any checks just yet.
I read earlier that it's February the 2027.
2026.
So that means
End of
that
2026, yeah.
there's probably 500 homes here in Four Seasons that are going to need to be zone hardened.
We don't have a hard and fast answer on when they'll be inspecting, if ever. And some of them are saying 2029 even. But the fact is that 0 to 5 is actually effective right now.
So what would an insurance company do in February of 2027?
They might just ask you to do
Up to your insurance
for that.
company.
Yeah. Right now,
Thank
the
you.
insurance companies haven't.
Yeah, the insurance companies right now are in control.
thank you.
Well, I want to thank all of you for coming today. We did lose some people, but I think we can all say that we've got a tremendous amount of information. And please, come back in February for the fire regulations and how to become a fire-wise community.